Hello everyone and welcome to our Sciences Po Live broadcast dedicated to the Master in Urban Governance, Policy and Planning offered at the Sciences Po Urban School. I'm with Cyriel Pelletier, Academic Advisor of the Master in Urban Governance, Policy and Planning, to give you the most up-to-date information on the program. Cyriel, thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks for inviting me.
And we also have two students and graduates who are with us remotely. Amélie and Natalia, thank you so much for being with us. We'll be with you in just a moment. Now, to you viewers watching us live on YouTube right now, thank you very much for being with us today. Should you have any question, you can start your questions in the chat box of this YouTube live session. Our guest will be more than happy to answer a few of those questions in the second part of this broadcast. Now, let's get started. And my first question goes to Cyriel Pelletier, Academic Advisor of the Master in Urban Governance, Policy and Planning. As a start, Cyriel, the Master in Urban Governance, Policy and Planning is one of three masters offered at the Sciences Po Urban School. What are the academic objectives of the Master?
Well, the world is facing major crises, and the cities is where they manifest in the most complexity, being climate change, problems of inequalities, housing, AI. Think of it, they all manifest in the cities. But the cities are also the places where we can solve these problems. And so our main objective is to train urban professionals that will be able to speak all the languages of the cities and be able to tackle those issues. Therefore, you will be trained at all the fundamental disciplines at Sciences Po, being public policy, sociology, law, economics, plus the specialty courses from each of the two tracks that we're going to speak about later. And these courses will be taught by cutting-edge experts, being the Sciences Po faculty members or practitioners from the professional world. And so, studying with these masters, you will learn how to design local, urban, regional policies and manage projects at the local, national or international level in order to tackle the changes and be an actor.
Great, thank you so much, Cyriel. You mentioned the program is a multidisciplinary master. You mentioned two tracks. Each student has to choose a track between governing the large metropolis, also known as GLM, and governing ecological transitions in cities, GETIC. What's the difference between the two tracks offered within this master?
Well, they are both indeed very interesting, but have some differences. The major difference is a geographical one. If you are interested in the global south, then you want to choose governing the large metropolis, which is a generalist master's that will tackle transversal issues faced by the cities in the fast developing countries of the world. If you are more interested in the global north, I may say that, and all the specific issues of ecological transitions, then it is more governing ecological transitions in cities that you want to choose.
So the main difference is a geographical one. The two tracks are therefore quite different, but are there common subjects that are taught? What are the main subjects that are taught within each tracks?
So we have some common core and we also have some differences. We have some common core in terms of fundamental courses like the one I mentioned in law and economics, and also in terms of methods, being qualitative, quantitative or geographic information system, GIS courses. And then you have the specialty courses, and depending on the track that you chose, in GLM you will have regional and sectorial courses that will allow you to develop expertise in the region and infrastructural topic that you are most interested in. And if you choose GETIC, then you will have specialty courses like carbon footprint and urban metabolism that will help you tackle the ecological transition issues.
So you have a common curriculum for both tracks, but also specific courses that are dedicated to each of the two tracks. Thank you so much. And Cyriel, we understand the Master in Urban Governance, Policy and Planning is a 2-year master. How are the 2 years of studies organized?
So if you decide to study at GLM, you will spend 2 years with us. The first year will be a conceptual one only at Sciences Po, and then your second year will start with 1 semester at Sciences Po studying and 1 off-campus semester where you will decide to do an internship, maybe an exchange or write a thesis. And if you decide to study at GETIC, you can follow the same the same kind of education, or your second year can also be done in apprenticeship, which means that you will study 2 days per week at Sciences Po, and the rest of the time you will be working with your employer for the whole year.
So it's a 2-year master divided in 4 semesters. What is the language of instruction?
So all the courses are being taught in English. So in order to join us, you need a C1 in English. For the international students that want to develop their skills in French, you can, of course, select French as an option in order to learn this language. And we can also offer some specific projects where you can speak French and develop your skill.
So it's a program fully taught in English, thank you so much, with a strong international dimension. And to illustrate that international dimension, we have the pleasure of welcoming Natalia. Natalia, thank you very much for being with us. You are a second-year student enrolled in the Master in Urban Governance Policy and Planning. You are doing the Governing the Large Metropolis track. You are originally from Colombia. Natalia, thank you again for being with us. You did your undergraduate studies in Bogota, Colombia at the University of Los Andes. What made you choose the specific Sciences Po Master in Urban Governance, Policy and Planning?
Thank you. Really excited to be here. And after graduating as an architect in Bogota, I got to work in the planning department of Bogota, and there I decided that I wanted to focus more on city planning instead of traditional architectural design. But while I was learning about planning instruments and policies and regulation, I felt that I was missing a larger perspectives of what the impact was being over the city. So that made me want to pursue a master's degree where I could broaden my perspective and also have a governance approach to make things feasible. Also, something that was really important for me was to have an environment where I could learn about practices being done all around the world.
Thank you so much, Natalia. So you studied architecture during your undergraduate studies, and your interest for city planning brought you to Sciences Po. You are a second-year student, as I said. You will graduate this coming spring, 2026. Do you have a favorite class so far in the program, and what is your best memory as a Sciences Po student so far?
In general, I think my favorite classes are the ones around city planning on itself. So I like comparative urban planning, urban law, urban economics, but I think my favorite class from all was housing and land. It was a really well-structured class. The readings were really good, and we have really interesting in-class discussions. But I think that's something that was really important for me, that was not only for this class, but for all classes, is that we were really encouraged to speak and to share our own experiences. I think that learning from the experience of all my other colleagues and other students that come from all over the world was a really enriching experience for me. And I think as for my favorite memory, I think was traveling to Nairobi with everyone in my cohort and going to Athens with my capstone group.
Thank you very much, Natalia. So you mentioned courses, field trips, as well as student activities. Thank you so much. Let's talk about professionalization. You are currently doing an internship at the OECD Center for Entrepreneurship, a division of the OECD doing research focused on urban policies to contribute to regional and local development. What is your position at the OECD and your work about?
Sure. I'm part of the Environmental and Land Use Economics unit, and we are currently working on helping regions adapt to demographic change. Currently, I'm working on assessment criteria for housing and land management policies for Spain. And the idea is to identify it is that are adequately adapting to a shrinking and aging population. Next, we're doing something similar also for Croatia and Cyprus. And it's something that I think is great at the CFE is that I get to analyze not only national level policies, but also engage with local dynamics, which is what I learned the most at the master.
You're currently working for the OECD, an international organization. Is it something you wish to do in the future? What sector or position do you wish to work at after graduating this coming spring?
I think I would like to keep working on housing because it's my favorite topic and also what I was the most enthusiastic while at Sciences Po. Right now I'm working in a multilateral organization where I'm learning a lot and also gaining a strong comparative approach. Then maybe I also like to gain some knowledge from private sectors and gain other perspectives on the same sector. And then I think I would like to take all of that again into the public sector. But for now, I think I would like to stay in the OECD.
Thank you so much, Natalia. Final question. Now, we hope that many of the viewers watching us live today are future applicants to the program. What advice would you give to an applicant willing to join the program next year?
I think my main advice is to be curious and go out and walk your cities or where you live or travel and just be curious about what you see. I think like anything can be an interesting topic, from why does a sidewalk look in a specific way, or why is so expensive to move out of your parents' house, or why is there so much traffic. I think everything can be an interesting discussion, and you're going to discuss much about these topics while in class. So I think the more you explore, the more you will be able to learn and also to share with others. So just like be curious.
Thank you very much, Natalia, for such a great testimonial and advice to future Sciences Po applicants. Now, let's get back to the studio with Cyriel Pelletier, academic advisor of the program. Cyriel, if you may, let's talk about prospective students and future applicants. What is a typical Master in Urban Governance Policy and Planning applicant? What type of students are you looking for?
Well, this is a little bit of a tough question because we have very, very diverse kind of applicants. There is no requirement but the C1 in English if you want to join our masters. And as you've just seen, Natalia comes from an architecture background, and we have also students coming from public policy, social sciences, but also engineering, natural sciences. So don't hesitate to apply. We value diversity in terms of academic background, but also in terms of regions, and we have many different nationalities that are represented, and this is part of the richness of the exchanges among our cohorts.
So anyone could apply to the program providing they are validating a 3-year undergraduate program, which makes the cohorts very diverse and international. What are the size of the cohorts and how international are they?
So they are very international. Generally, about half of the cohorts on average are international students, and we value small cohorts. So generally, we only have 30 to 40 students per track. So that means that you may have larger classes with other masters depending on the courses, or very small groups in the workshops. So that will allow the professors to know you by name and also to have a lot of exchanges with the rest of the cohorts.
Thank you so much, Cyriel. Now let's have a word on teaching methods. We understand the program is a mix of theoretical and hands-on experiences. What are the teaching methods like? What's the proportion of lectures, seminars, group projects, field trips?
So once again, this is very diverse across the curriculum. You will have major classes and lectures in amphitheaters to certain big topics. You will also have smaller groups where you will taught by track, and you will also have the opportunity of having workshops. So those are taught by practitioners, and you will only be 15 per group. So it means that you will have all the different kind of education in class, but you also have a lot of outside the class teaching? Is it with the capstone project where you have the opportunity of working with real world clients and partners? And so also the field trip where you are going to be exposed to real topics that you explored during your training and that you will be exposed to with the professionals on the field.
So there's a lot of teaching formats, lots of different teaching formats, either on campus or outside the Sciences Po campus in Paris. Thank you so much, Cyriel. Let's now welcome Amélie. Amélie, thank you very much for being with us. Amélie, you graduated from the Master in Urban Governance Policy and Planning last year in 2025. You did the Governing Ecological Transition in Cities track. You currently work at the International Center for Research on Environment and Development, the CIRED, as it's a research center on environment, climate, and sustainable development. Amélie, what made you want to work in that field, and what is your work at the CIRED about?
Yeah, thank you for having me. I think because I chose, as Cyriel was saying, in S4 you get to choose whether you do an internship or the research track. I chose to do an internship. Maybe we'll talk about it later. And I wanted to see what research was like for me, maybe undertake a PhD at some point. So I wanted to test it out. And I had been in conversations with one of my professors, Vincent Viguier, prior to do an internship with him during my summer of my M1. But that didn't happen for a timing reason. So I reached out back to him for an internship in the summer of 2025, and that turned into a contract. And what I'm doing now is that I'm studying when cities make their adaptation plans, how they interact with scientific expertise and why do they choose to interact with some actors over others. So I'm analyzing and comparing 6 different cities worldwide.
Thank you, Amélie. You mentioned how a Sciences Po professor you had during your studies contributed to an internship and the actual job you're having right now. What other contributions did the Master in Urban Governance Policy and Planning and the specific Governing Ecological Transitions in Cities track make to your career?
Yeah, I'm still at the very beginning of my career, so I won't make very general conclusions, but I would say definitely in terms of topics, because we see a really large array of topics, I kind of got to choose and realize what types of topics I liked. In my case, that's more mobility topics, climate adaptation, and circular economy, which is still a lot of subjects, but at least I'm, honing in on a couple. And that also goes through, the teachers that you have in the professional seminars. You get to talk with professionals and not just academics. And in terms of the group work that you do a lot of group work during the master's, taught me how to deal with a team, with different personalities in a team. And with the research comes some great research and critical analysis skills, I would say.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Amélie. You have, just like your schoolmate Natalia, a very strong international profile. You did your undergraduate studies in the UK, in London, a Bachelor of Arts at the University College London. What's the reason you did choose Sciences Po while in London for your graduate studies?
Yeah, I am French American, and I did part of my studies at UCA in London, so I wanted to go back. So to France, there was a geographical component to it. And Sciences Po as a political science school and social science school is pretty reputable, so that is a non-negligible part. I also did my undergraduate thesis on the relationship between biomimicry and the built environment and our connection and relationship to nature. So those two city and environment topics were very much things I was interested in. And the content of my master's was definitely in line with that. The interdisciplinary nature was something I was looking for. It's definitely, as Cyriel said, a generalist master's, and you see a lot of things. So it's up to you to dig into specific subjects, I would say.
Thank you very much, Amélie. You did talk about your job. You mentioned an internship you did while at Sciences Po. You mentioned also classes and your undergraduate studies in London. What were the stages of building your professional project during your studies at Sciences Po? I understand you did other internships, but maybe other courses did contribute to building your professional projects.
As I said, there are a lot of opportunities to work with professors. If you're curious about their work, plenty of my classmates also worked for them over the summer and between their two years and after. So definitely engagement with professors plays a role. The capstone project, as was mentioned, is super professionalizing. I was one of the cohorts. My group worked in an inter-masters group, so we were 5 per masters and 3 masters. So we were a group of 15 working for an urban developer in Brussels called CityDev. And that was a huge professionalizing experience because not only do we have to deal with a big team with different subjects, but looking at a same deliverable, but we had to adapt to our clients' needs and feedback. So that was definitely a huge stepping stone in that professional, I guess, professionalizing experience. And as you said, I did do an internship in my S4, and that was at the Department of Transportation in Massachusetts in the US. I decided to do it because I was interested in public policy and mobility issues, and also because I'm half American, so I did do it in the US for that reason. It wasn't a super strategic decision in terms of coming back to the French job market, but that's a decision I fully own. But yeah, did that in the US as well.
Thank you so much, Amélie. Final question. As I said, hopefully many of the viewers are future applicants to the program. Would you have an advice to future international applicants and students on building their professional project during their studies in France and Paris at Sciences Po?
Yeah, I would say if you're doing an interdisciplinary and generalist master's, figure out what you like and then hone in and focus your projects and research project and group projects on that topic to gain a multidisciplinary take and expertise on it. That'd be my first piece of advice. And then I would really take advantage of the capstone project. This is a one-of-a-kind experience where you are still a student, but working for a client in a really serious setting, and you get to learn a lot of things. So really take advantage of that and the connections that you might get from that. And then third, I would really, as Natalia was saying, stay curious and talk to people, professors that you haven't had that are in your school, but you haven't had in class, or conferences that you attend, and people that are interesting. Go and reach out to them, ask them what they like, what their work is, and what the perspectives of the sector are. People are generally very happy to help you out in the topics that you want to undertake.
Thank you so much, Amélie, for such a fruitful testimonial and great advice to future applicants and students. We'll get back to you in just a moment. Now back to the studio with Cyriel Pelletier, academic advisor of the program, for a final round of questions. Cyriel, let's talk about professional life. How do graduates from the program enter the job market?
So, as we had a few testimony already, we can see the diversity of the positions offered after studying at the urban school in the urban governance, policy and planning masters, either tracks. The idea is really to understand that you have the opportunity of landing a position in the public, the private, in the sector, international organizations, NGOs. We are very proud of our how the job market is welcoming our graduates, because we have almost 60% of the graduates that find a job even before they finish their studies, and 98% within 6 months. So that shows that we have a real professionalization, and the job market is waiting for you, for the future graduates.
That's great to know. Great, thank you, Cyriel. So about 60% of students actually find their job prior to graduation. How do you prepare students for professional life to get such good figures in terms of employment?
So as we have mentioned already, the professionalization starts from the very first year of the master's with the capstone project, the learning expedition. Then during the second year, you have the workshops, so some courses that are taught by professionals that will share their toolboxes with you, so you will have real hands-on experience right prior to entering the job market and even prior to starting your first internship. So that means that you will be ready to have a job at the local, national or international level.
Thank you so much, Cyriel. So professionalization starts at the very beginning of a student's journey within the Master in Urban Governance, Policy and Planning at Sciences Po. Final question, in what sectors and what organizations are graduates recruited?
So, is it for governing the large metropolis or governing ecological transitions in cities? You have the possibility of opening many doors from the public sector at the local, national or international level, at the European Commission, for example. In the private sector as well, you can work in a consulting firm or you can work in a company that is part of the fabric of the city. So that can be companies in charge of utilities, water, energy, but also mobility, infrastructure, housing. As we saw, you also have the opportunity of joining an international organization such as UN Habitat or major NGOs. And so we have the opportunities open for you in France or worldwide to make a professional dream come true.
Great. So graduates work in a wide range of organizations, either in France or internationally. Both in the public and the private sector. Thank you so much, Cyriel. Now is the time for our Q&A session. Thank you, dear viewers, for the questions you've been asking in the chat box of this YouTube live session. And here is the first question from our viewers, a question for Cyriel Pelletier, Academic Advisor of the Master in Urban Governance, Policy and Planning. Let me read it out loud for you. The question is the following. I am having a bit of a hard time understanding the difference between the capstone project and the study trips. Are they the same thing?
Well, thank you very much for giving me a little bit of extra time to explain those major features of our programs. The study trip, the learning expedition, is the opportunity for the students to travel as a cohort to a city. Natalia was mentioning how last year we went to Nairobi with GLM. This year we are going to Bangkok. For JETIC, we went a few weeks ago to Torino. So those study trips are really occasion to be on the field and meet local actors and understand the reality of the urban issues that they are facing and how they deal with the local public policy that they have to implement. So that's a 1 week experience, and then there's a report to write about this. The capstone project is a year-long project. So during your whole first year of master's, you will be set in a group of 4 to 5 students working with a partner with the help of the professional tutor. This partner will ask you a question and you will have a whole year to explore the topic. So you will start most probably by a literature review to understand the state of the art of the topic. And then you will go on the field independently or as a group, and you will write a report with recommendations to write this, to answer this question. But after a very long-term project from October to June of the first year of the master's.
Thank you for a great explanation, Cyriel. Amélie mentioned how she did her capstone project in Brussels. And speaking of the capstone project, we have a question for Natalia. Natalia, you also did a capstone project during your first year. What was the partner company and where did you do it?
Sure. I love this question. I love my capstone project. I work at the FAA, which is the International Federation for Automobilism. And the idea was to find the intersection between migration and urban mobility. So we were to work in selected cities across the world to do a comparative approach, research, and to find to what extent is migration, like international migration, having an effect on internal mobility dynamics, so public transportation, private mobilization, a big focus on road safety. So we focus 3 cities to study worldwide. One was Accra in Ghana, the other one was Athens in Greece, and the other one was Paris. So we divided our group of 5, and 2 of the other members were to Accra, and then I get to go to Athens, and it was an amazing experience to meet stakeholders, have interviews, do in-field research, and just learn and curious about everything that is to learn about this new and interesting topic. Then we had to write a report and present to the Policy Commission of the FIA our findings.
A capstone project with, again, a great international dimension. Thank you very much, Natalia. We now have a question for Amélie. Amélie, let me read it out loud for you. Amélie, you studied in London prior to Sciences Po in Paris. What are the advantages and perhaps the disadvantages of studying in Paris?
I would say that my experience of it is also very much defined by the fact that one was in my bachelor's and one is my master's. I think there are 2 different experiences as a student. Bachelor's, you're discovering what studying in the higher education system is, and a master's student, you're more, you've got your ground and your basics. So I think that also is a different immaturity, maybe. That dictates your experiences in 2 different cities. London, very big. Paris, a bit more dense. I think as a cyclist, this is a very practical answer, but it's much easier to cycle around in Paris. I would say also student accommodation is a bit harder to find in Paris, I would say, and not really related to Sciences Po, whereas in London, there is much more of a university-led accommodation. So that can be a bit different in terms of your experience and building community as well. Other than that, I mean, it's a big city like London in terms of cultural things that you can do. It's as diverse. People speak French, and there are bakeries around. A little different, but I think it's mostly from your higher education standpoint that it changes a bit.
Thank you so much, Amélie. Thank you very much. And final question from our viewers to Cyriel Pelletier, Academic Advisor. Let me read it out loud for all of you viewers. A key aspect of any of the master's program is finding the right balance between academic knowledge and hands-on experience. Are there, within the Master in Urban Governance Policy and Planning, concrete collaborations with institutions or businesses?
Okay, yes. Well, we have many occasions of collaborating with the professional world. Of course, we mentioned some practitioners that are professionals coming to teach, but I think the most important are the collaboration and the partnerships we have through our capstone projects. These come either from the learning expedition, so the people we met on the field that will ask us to answer their questions, or actors from the French urban environment or international as well. And so we already had some examples with Natalia and Amélie with CityDev in Brussels, or with the International Federation for Automobile, la FIA, in Paris, so this international organization about mobility. But we have more than 40 capstone projects per year, so I won't be able to cite them all, but we work with European institutions. We've been working with Urbag or with AUI. We work with private institutions like Next City. We have NGOs. We have so many. Please visit our website. You have the list of all our capstone projects and partners.
Thank you so much, Cyriel. Thank you, Amélie, and thank you, Natalia, for being with us today. Our information session is now coming to an end. Thank you so much for attending. We hope that we were able to answer all the questions you had on the Master in Urban Governance Policy and Planning at Sciences Po. And we hope to see you again at Sciences Po soon. Thank you so much, and goodbye.